Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Foliage. So some of you wanted to know a plant that can grow in a hanging planter or you want a trailing plant. So here is a plant called as the basket plant. Now guys, unfortunately because of the strong rains and very strong winds, my pot happened to break. You can see this is where the hook was and my entire pot had fallen down. It was placed at a height due to which there was a lot of damage to the plant, but luckily the plant is recovering. So this is how the plant tends to look like. As and when the plant starts to grow, it starts to trail. This is the reason why it's also called as the chain plant. Now this plant can change the color according to the amount of light you provide. Now my plant is getting a good amount of indirect bright light, but if you're going to offer it a good amount of indirect bright light as well as morning direct sunlight before 10 a.m., this plant will start to get a little bit of the stress colors and it will have a very reddish tint to it. It looks absolutely beautiful. So this is one of the plant you can add in your collection. It's very simple. You do not need to be worried about the soil mix because this plant will do well in any kind of soil mix, but I tend to use the same soil mix which I use for my other plants, which is a mix of coco peat, garden soil, sand and perlite. Perlite is optional. It's not necessary that you have to add perlite. As you'll all know, I tend to make a large batch of mix which is already added with perlite, so it tends to go into the soil mix. So if you do not have perlite, it's absolutely okay. The rest of the things, that is the coco peat, garden soil, sand, is important because they prefer a well draining soil mix. If the water will tend to stay in the pot, then they could be root rot. So ensure that you're not letting the water sit inside the pot. Always have a pot that has a drain hole. It's an absolutely beautiful trailing plant. You can use any kind of pot. Even if the pot is very small, it's absolutely okay. The plant will do quite well and eventually the plant will start to trail out. As I said about watering, ensure that you maintain a slight amount of moisture but not soggy wet soil. Whenever you see around 1 inch of the soil is dry, you can go ahead and do a complete watering. Indirect bright light, direct sunlight, anyone is okay, but please do not expose it to afternoon direct sunlight, otherwise the leaves will get burned. I will put up the image of how it tends to look like if there is too much of sunlight that tends to fall onto the leaves. You can see it starts getting these scars on the leaves. So avoid afternoon direct sunlight. Early morning before 10 a.m. or indirect bright light, filtered light, dappled sunlight is absolutely okay. It's very easy to propagate this plant as well. You can see this long stem. All you have to do is just break the stem and put it back into the soil and the plant will start to grow. It's very easy to grow via the stem cuttings. It is one of the best method of propagating this plant. Now guys, this plant is not listed in the toxic plants. It is safe for humans as well as pets. You can keep this anywhere in the garden, but yes, you have to be careful of the sap because that can irritate the skin, especially if you have sensitive skin. Now apart from this, there are claims that this is a medicinal plant, but guys, please, just because Google says or some people say that this is a medicinal plant, please don't go and take a bite of the leaves until and unless you are a qualified person who can advise to consume the plant or stuff like that. Even I'm not qualified, so I would never ever suggest you to go ahead and take bite or eat any of the leaves because we never know. Probably there would be some properties in the plant that you could be allergic to. Probably the other person is not allergic to you. So please, just because someone says that it's a medicinal plant, please don't go and chew the leaves. You never know. There could be something that could not be working out really well with your body or that might not suit your body and it might lead to some other problems. So please refrain from taking leaves and chewing them just by reading from Google or just because someone has advised you. Please don't do that. So if you have very less space and you want to grow a trailing plant, this is one of the plant you can add. As I've said this, the wandering jew is one of the easiest plant. This is another plant that you can add in your collection. It's also called as the basket plant or the chain plant because of the trailing leaves. As you can see, this is the reason why it's also called as the chain plant. So if you're a beginner and you're looking out for some easy growing plants, low maintenance plants, then this is one of the plant you can add in your collection. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep planting.